Okay, so basically, the guy who has this information is a bona fide Catholic. I just wanted to leave that with you. And you're going to see that as we go down. If you have already watched the video in part 1, you must have already seen that. He is a staunch Catholic. This is another one of my translations of the Spanish professor of history and theology, Damian Galeron. The title of this audio is Events to Come for 2021-2022. From now on, I will be warning people that what's coming is very hard, very, very hard. As I'm specialized in history, I will be commenting on events that are non-affecting our world. I receive information from American and Russian intelligence agencies. They give me information so that I may give it out in my classes. The information I receive comes from the very highest level within these intelligence services that you can imagine. The information I now have concerns 3 processes that are going to happen. These 3 processes will be practically continuous. In other words, there will be hardly any break between them. The first one we will live through is the blackout. So many will be all at home reading or on the internet, and the light will go out. Even after 3 to 4 hours, it will still not come back. This time, the light will be out for months. There will be no electricity, no internet, no telephones. There will be nothing. There will be no distribution of foodstuffs. Everything will be paralyzed. Everything. There won't be any international flights. Cars won't work. Absolutely everything will be paralyzed. Everything. What is the purpose of all this? Its purpose is to eliminate many millions of people. The global elite say there are too many people on Earth. In 3 years, they intend to eliminate 5,000 million people. And I'll tell you something, they are going to achieve their goal. By Christmas, a lot of foodstuffs and products will be missing in the shops. This is not my opinion, but the information I have gained from American and Russian intelligence services.
It's happening at grocery stores across the country.
That much lettuce.
Store shelves nearly empty of fruits, vegetables, beef and chicken, even some cereals, bakery and juice items hard to find.
The only milk I can get were 2 tiny bottles of fat-free, so my kids will not be happy about that.
So you probably noticed the bare shelves.
Sometimes it's meat or dairy products, sometimes some empty freezers in the frozen food section. Things seem to be in short supply these days, even after we're told progress has been made to ease the supply chain problems.
3 different events are planned, massive events. One of them is a massive blackout, not just Europe alone, but most of our world. And then he went further to say that the aim is to kill a lot of people. Because the global elite say that there are too many people on earth. It's not just the global elite. Their father, the devil, already said that to them. That's why you have what we call the Georgia Guidestone. The Georgia Guidestones, the man who set it up, our Christian or whatever he calls himself, nobody knows the man. Nobody has seen the man till today. The thing just came up there. And boom, the first item on the 10 satanic commandments on how to bring about the new world order there was maintain human population to under 500 million. And you already know we have billions of people in our world. But you have to maintain to 500 million. And when people hear this, and I'm telling you this all the time, people keep saying, how is this possible? But look what the man said here. Intelligence information says they want to, by this, within 3 years, kill 5,000 million people, which is what? 5 billion. And as we go further, you will see the plans they also have to kill the remaining billions, so that at the end of the day, you have probably less than 1 billion Or maybe that's the 500 million that they're talking about in the word. And that's when the alien beings then flood our world to take over. Robots are going to take over from you. Humanoid robots are going to be here taking over from everything. It's because of the knowledge I already have about what is coming. That's why I said earlier that the video scared me. And to think that this thing that is supposed to happen many years away is brought forward, it makes it even more scary. Many of us read in the news what happened all across Europe when the power grid went down. I think this was early January. In fact, on this EU, European Parliament website, I want to read you something here. It says, on Friday, 8 January 2021, a power supply failure that is suspected to have originated in Romania disrupted the continental Europe synchronous area. Its frequency dropped to 48.75 Hz, target frequency 50 Hz, which caused the southeast area to be separated from the rest of the grid. This disruption and a lack of operating reserves in France nearly caused a Europe-wide blackout. A Europe-wide blackout. Luckily, the automatic activation of power stations throughout Europe and the automatic initiation of contracted load shedding in Italy, 1,000 megawatts, and France, 1,300 megawatts, kept the grid stable and prevented a blackout. The incident shows the fragility of the grid and the real possibility of a Europe-wide blackout, which we need to prevent. So the possibility of a Europe-wide blackout, which we need to prevent. In other words, what happened must have been a plan, a test run. And that's what this man is even saying here. So they just found that, and it's reported on their website, that the possibility of a Europe-wide blackout is very, very clear. You can see that now. And look at this other write-up I have here in front of me. It says, sophisticated hackers could crash the US power grid, but money, not sabotage, is their focus. So they are telling you, because as we go down, I'm going to make you understand how the entire blackout thing that they are anticipating is going to be brought about. It's going to be through hacking. It's going to be through cyber warfare. And as we know up to date, as of this day, Russia and China are at the top when it comes to cyber warfare. America cannot compete with them. Europe cannot even compete with both of them. They are the kings right now. So cyber warfare can literally bring down anything, and that's what they're going to use to bring about the blackouts that they are anticipating. And as we go down, you're going to see all the things that are planned to take place when that blackout eventually happens. On the 4th of October this year, they brought down the communication system of the entire world. This was a practice run of what's to come. Okay, you saw that. This one, everybody experienced it in 2021. Even if you didn't live through the darkness or the blackout that happened in Europe, and many of us saw it on TV, we read it in the news, at least you experienced the one that happened that affected literally every single person on earth. WhatsApp was down, Facebook was down, YouTube was down, almost all the social media platforms, in fact, all of them went down. We lacked the ability to communicate at that time. Only direct phone calls. Do you know how many people today that the only way they stay in touch is through social media? We couldn't do that. That also was a test run, because all these things are going to happen when the real darkness or blackout they are talking about is going to be activated. You're not going to have any social media network active. Nothing is going to be active. It's just going to be you and your darkness in your corner. Everything will collapse. Everything. And the person who hasn't food set aside will very probably die of starvation. What is coming is very hard, but I must tell you, they're performing games on our world. I won't mince my words here. What is coming is much more difficult than what you could ever imagine. I hope, therefore, that we will respect the information I have about this blackout. The information I have says it will occur in January, but I won't rule out the possibility that these low lives might make it happen even earlier. According to the prophecy of Luz de Maria, this blackout will happen when Europe is under a blanket of snow. This means it will occur in January or February. We have therefore about 2 months to prepare and to make decisions. Our first decision must be to set aside food for a very minimum of 5 months. Put aside lots of pulses such as lentils, chickpeas, beans, non-perishables, because they last for years. Also, various forms of pasta. Buy lots of tinned foods, also some salt and sugar. Okay, so he's giving us a timeline for the blackout. Now, he says that the blackout, based on the intelligence information that he has, is supposed to happen between January and February. Of which year? Of this very year, 2022. Now he's talking about how the people who have not stored food are likely to perish because the blackout is not going to be a few hours or a few days. It's actually meant to last a long time. Now let me tell you something, and this is why I also tell you not to be too scared as well. Many years ago, when I started researching newly, we've seen videos and we saw things, materials, scary materials that talked about this very thing now. And we're talking about 2008, 2009, thereabout. And they talked about all of these things that they are going to happen. Then it didn't look possible. It didn't look feasible. It didn't make any sense. Like, nothing actually makes sense whenever you say stuff like this to ordinary people. To me, even as a researcher then, a young researcher, I didn't think it was really going to happen. But still, I researched on it, I took precaution, and I began to share it with people. Now, they talked about how that there will be food shortage, how that many people will starve to death during that blackout. And they started talking about canned foods and all kinds of stuff. I'm not a big fan of canned food. Maybe use bottles or something to store your food or something like that. And they started talking about that. And now to show you that I had stumbled on this many years ago, if you know anybody who is close to the Mormons, the people you call the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, okay? I don't believe in them. They are not true Christians. I can tell you clear without any fear of contradictions. I know them. I know their origin. I know their roots. But you know these guys, they actually started preparing for this probably about 2 decades or maybe 15 years ago. The Mormons have been storing food. You may not hear this on the outside. Until you meet someone who is on the inside, they will tell you. Mormons have been storing food on the ground, in caves, in all the places, preparing for this that is coming. Some rich men are building bunkers on the ground. They call it the doomsday bunker, on the ground with their own hard-earned money, to the point that I made contact with a company in Israel that specializes in building these bunkers. And they will tell you that the bunkers actually cannot fit into any kind of place. There's a topographic analysis they do, and then they will tell you whether it's good for this region or not good for that region. So people who have been told that the regions were not good to handle a bunker were moving to different parts of the world where bunkers were able to stand, and they were paying millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build bunkers to prepare for what you are just hearing about now. So this is not new. Just that we didn't expect it will come this soon. And you'll find out why it's coming soon. Very soon. Let's move forward. When the blackout comes to an end, the global elite will start World War III. The Third World War is already prepared. The battlefield will be Europe. It will be a Russian and Chinese alliance to destroy Europe and to attack the United States. It will be a thermonuclear war in which previously unknown weapons will be used, and they will use intercontinental ballistic missiles to kill 2,200 million people in 3 weeks. The war won't last long, but 50% of Europe will be exterminated. Countries like Holland, Belgium, a part of Georgia, Hungary, and Romania will all disappear. A part of Germany and a large section of France will disappear. In 2 years, US will lose 180 million people. Spain will lose 30 million people. Mexico 50 million. Costa Rica will lose half its population. All these losses will happen in 2 years, and I've described in my last video on World War III entitled "Everything is in Code."
Okay, so the darkness comes. And as we go further, he's not done with the darkness. You're still going to hear more about the darkness and how that diseases are going to be released. And remember that he said that the plan is to kill 5,000 million people, which is 5 billion. Now, over 2,000 million people again, that's 2-point-something billion. You see what is going on? The thing is so planned in a way that these billions they need to eliminate will have to be eliminated one way or the other. If you don't die by the diseases, you die by starvation, or you die by some type of nuclear toxic weapon released in your area. The next war is the king of the north, which is Russia, coming into alliance with China, the dragon, and they're moving with the Arabs to invade Europe. And then they will go beyond Europe. They're going to take other places. Israel will be attacked. These things are in prophecy. You probably thought they would never happen in your lifetime, but look, we are just right there, right now. This is what is going on. So they're saying that immediately after the darkness, the Third World War will start. How many times have you seen in the news that China was testing some intercontinental ballistic missiles? How many times have you seen it in the news? It's all over the news. It's every time. I've seen it. I've watched it in videos. I've seen it all over the place. They are testing intercontinental ballistic missiles. For what aim exactly? It comes to cyber warfare. We read about this thing every day. It is for this season that all that preparation has been at the fever pitch all along.
The thought process will be the impact of an asteroid on our world on one of the first 15 days of May. This asteroid is very possibly the warning of the illumination of conscience. This is the warning announced in Garabanda, very possibly. We won't talk now about the punishment which is Planet X, which will be upon us in the year 2023 or 2024. I get information from astrophysicists and very high-ranking military personnel also. It's not that I am very clever, but that I receive information from them which I then pass on to you. I want to warn you that the blackout will be much more frightening and terrifying than World War III. This will be so because during the war, businesses will be open as long as the war is not on your doorstep, and you will be able to buy things and move around at least to some degree. However, during the blackout, martial law will be imposed and you won't be able to leave your house, not even to walk the dog. If you do, you will be shot on the spot without explanations.
Okay, so we are going down to the third event that is planned, which is the asteroid. But then he's still telling us about the darkness. And he's making us understand that the darkness is not going to be like the usual type of darkness or blackout that you're used to. This one is different, to the point that he even compared it with the war and said that it's better to be in that Third World War than to be in this blackout or darkness. So you can see why this is incredibly scary. Because in that deep darkness, Anything can happen. I said this in my video. Anybody can be picked up and shot at and killed wherever you are. You are not allowed to step away from your home. You are under house arrest by compulsion. Everything is shut down and you cannot move. Not even to walk your dog. You can't even walk your dog. You step out of your home, you are shot. Martial law is declared. Martial law. You see? Martial law. And that's when a new order is ushered into our world under the cover of darkness. Because the prince of darkness cannot make entry into a world that still has light in it when there is light. The prince of darkness must make sure there is a deep darkness before he makes his entry officially with his demons. That's why I made reference to the God particle video that I made and all the things I told you, that these guys are 110% ready to usher in the demons into our world, the humanoids and the aliens and all these things. You're going to come out of that darkness not just seeing a third world war, but also seeing strange beings. Take my word for it.